Hey guys, it's CJ, and I want to start off by apologizing for not having this video up yesterday. I got extremely caught up in doing things around my house and helping my grandmother with some stuff, so I apologize that I didn't get to upload yesterday. I have literally been trying all day today to upload, but I don't have good lighting in my house right now, and I don't have the greatest lighting out here, and I really do apologize for that. This is the only time I have to be able to film, and I can't film inside my house because I do have family in there and I don't want any background noise in my video. So I do apologize, the lighting is not going to be the best for this video, but I am trying really hard to get this uploaded for you guys today. So again, I'm so sorry for the lighting, but today I have a Reddit no sleep story that I'm going to read for you guys today, and it's a longer one, so I am definitely going to be reading just one. I've tried filming already like maybe 3 times, and I've already almost gotten through the story, and so far it is so creepy and it's unsettling for sure. Just it's like little stuff that happens first and then it really gets into it. So without further ado, let's get on to the video. And today I will be reading My Nephew's Imaginary Friend is Real and It is Terrifying. September 1st, 2:30 p.m. Who is that? I ask while looking at the scribbled lines in my nephew's drawing, as he proudly shows his work of art to me. There appear to be 5 figures in the magic marker drawn picture. 4 of the scribbled lines and circles sit inside a small house. The drawing represents our family, which consists of myself, my sister, and my 5-year-old nephew named Sam. A smaller little drawing with 2 ears appears to be my cat Bosco. What catches my attention though is this figure standing outside of the house. While the other figures appeared colorful and smiling, something was strange about the drawn figure outside of the house. His lines were jet black, his face expressionless, with a black hat sitting on top of his head. But what caught my attention was the shade of his eyes, a dark green color. "Who is that sitting outside the house, Sam?" I asked. "That is my friend Mr. Green Eyes," Sam explained. "He watches me play from the window." "That's cool, little buddy," I replied. I look over to the window of Sam's playroom, nothing sitting outside but hedge bushes with a solid wooden fence sitting behind it. I stand up and walk down the hall to the kitchen where my sister is currently cleaning the stove. "Sam has a new friend apparently, a guy in a hat that likes to watch him play from the window," I say to my sister. "He has an imaginary friend, it sounds like," she replied as she opens the cabinet below the sink. "He is still adjusting. I mean, he has been through a lot these past couple months." "I know, he's been through a lot. With the move across the country and the separation," I reply. Sorry, my phone is telling me that it's gonna die. "It is just a she interrupts. "He watched his father be taken away in handcuffs. Then a month later, he is living in a new house, a new city, and everything he has known has been uprooted." I shrug and realize that my sister is right. Sam had indeed been through a lot for someone his age. There we go. Okay. 3 months ago, I got a call from my sister asking me for a place to stay. Her husband, who had always loved his beer, suddenly really started to like it. With that came intense arguments. Those disagreements eventually escalated when one day he decided to strangle her. Yikes. Oh my god. I remember that night answering the phone to the sobs of my sister telling me that her husband was being led out in handcuffs in front of their only son. I told her I had plenty of room in my house, but it was across the country. My sister said the further away from him the better. Within a month, they were living with me. It was an adjustment, but I did not mind knowing that my sister and my nephew were safe and had a shelter over their heads. She was right to assume that her son was adjusting and creating an imaginary friend in a new home in the city to find a way to cope. I decided to drop the subject, let the kid work through his emotions, and be supportive of whatever the two needed from me. After all, it was just a phase. September 25th, 2:05 a.m. It was a late night of surfing on the web, reading the news, commenting sporadically on Reddit, and listening to one of my favorite podcasts when I heard a strange noise. Taking off my headphones and listening to the loud yowls coming from somewhere inside the house. I walked downstairs following that noise that led to Sam's playroom. My cat Bosco was sitting on the window, switching between hissing and the weird clicking noise that cats make. I walked up and grabbed him, startling him a bit, but he never took his eyes off from looking outside the window. It was as if he was watching something. That is when I realized that my cat was looking at the bushes in front of the fence were moving. Walking down the hallway and entering the kitchen, I felt a little bit of fear going outside. Something was there, but what could it be? Did my sister's ex-husband figure out where she was? Could it be a robber scouting to rob our house? Turning on the light to the backyard and stepping out, I look at the bushes, the violent rustling continuing. I move slowly towards the direction. Part is caution and fear. Who's there? Come out now, I said aloud. Also, I am so sorry if you guys can hear those dogs barking in the background. They literally do it every single fucking night, and I can't stand it. So I apologize about all the background noise that you're gonna hear in this video. Like, truly, I'm sorry. I hear no response, but now the bushes are moving even more erratic and violent. Come out now, I yelled. Building up the courage and picking up the pace of my step, I reach for what is trying to hide in the bush. A loud shriek pierced my ear, coming from the bush as I laid my hand on the branches. As I jumped backward, caught off guard by the shriek, a small raccoon made its way from the bushes and quickly ran away. Now, I absolutely fucking hate that when I'm hearing noises outside and it's like freaking me out because I think it's a person and I go out there and it's just a freaking animal, like a possum or something. Fuck that shit. I hate animals. I really do. Just for that reason. I have a piece of hair on my arm and it makes me feel like there's mosquitoes all over the place. Okay. I felt a relief that it was just a wild animal hiding in the bushes. Breathing in to calm my nerves and headed back inside the house. As the door opened, Bosco darted past my feet and into the night, looking all around to make sure the raccoon was long gone. I scanned the area to see if I could find my cat, but no avail. Bosco, come back inside, I called out. Waiting at the door to see if by chance my cat would return, I look at the bushes one more time. After a few minutes, I close the door and leave the light on for him. It's not the first time he had escaped to the yard, but he always came back the next day. I was too tired and drained from the experience to keep standing outside yelling. I start to walk back to my bedroom when I pass the room where Bosco is sitting in the window. Sam is in his pajamas, stood frozen in the room, gazing through the window. I walk inside the room and kneel down next to Sam to ask, "Why aren't you in bed?" Sam rubbed his eyes and turned his body toward me with his small arm stretched out. Grabbing a hold of him and lifting him up, I take one last look outside. Everything seemed fine, now with no bushes moving or animal in sight. After a moment, we headed up the stairs, with Sam clutching me tightly. As we entered his room, I could not help but notice more drawings of the family. One caught my attention. It was Sam's imaginary friend, but this time he had a scowl on his face. "Now go back to sleep, Sam," I said as I tucked him in. "But my friend Mr. Green Eyes is outside and wants to play." Oh, fuck that, dude. You are not gonna go outside and play with Mr. Green Eyes. Not at this time of night, boy. There's a mosquito right here, and it is, like, bugging my life. I can't. Oh my god. Okay, moving on. September 28th, 2:15 a.m. The sound of Bosco screaming woke me up. It was a loud hiss and followed by a loud scream. I had tried to get him to come back inside, luring him with a bowl of food at the back door, but he had never returned. I wondered if he had wandered off the property. However, hearing the noises at this time of night told me something different. It sounded like he was fighting with something outside, possibly the raccoon from the other night. As I ran down the stairs, the sounds of my cat were becoming more alarming, and it started to sound as if he was in pain. Quickly stepping outside to the backyard, I saw no sign of Bosco, nor anything he could be fighting. It was hauntingly silent in the yard while I searched for any clue of where my cat might be, walking to the area where the raccoon was spotted, yielding no trace of him either. Finally, I decided to walk around the perimeter of the house, and something caught my eye near the window of Sam's playroom. My cat Bosco was lying motionless on the ground. Quickly shoveling Bosco up and rushing inside to lay him on the couch, I turned on the light to look him over, observing that the cat had no marks or any sign of blood coming from his body. There might be a chance to save him. In a panic, I ran to my bedroom to dress and retrieve my keys. Picking up the still motionless Bosco and making my way to the car, I fumbled on my phone to find an emergency pet clinic and made my way there. Arriving at the clinic, I hastily made my way inside and looked to the desk person and said, "I need to see someone now. My cat isn't moving or responding." The desk person quickly escorted me to a room, and I laid Bosco down on the table. After a few moments, the veterinarian came in and looked at my cat lying on the table. After checking his pulse, the vet looked over at me and said, "I am so sorry, but your cat is dead." I heard him fighting with something outside, but I don't see any signs of him or blood or wounds. As I watched the veterinarian pull out a small light, she shined the light and scanned his body. I observed to see any sign of scratches, bruises, or marks that I may have missed, but nothing appeared. The veterinarian then moved to Bosco's neck and then to his head. "It looks like your cat broke his neck," she replied. How could my cat possibly break his neck? Could he have possibly chased something up a tree or jumped on the roof of your house? "He saw a raccoon outside a couple nights ago," I answered. The veterinarian nodded and said, "Most likely he spotted the raccoon and chased it up a tree, then accidentally fell." That seemed to be the most likely answer, but something was unsettling to me. Bosco had never done anything like this before. Sure, he was a cat, but I had never seen him climb a tree. As I paid the bill and made arrangements to cremate him, something did not quite sit right about what had happened. I couldn't pinpoint my feeling as I drove home. Pulling into the driveway and looking at the house, I thought of my cat's death, and it left me sad. As I entered the house and peering out the window, where the two of us had seen the raccoon, nothing but the night and bushes. I decided to try and get some sleep, but while leaving the room, a small drawing laid on the ground. When I picked up the picture, I noticed it was another family drawing, but this one was missing Bosco. So this little boy, knew the cat was gonna die, and it is my best assumption that Mr. Green Eyes is the one that killed him. So let's find out. September 30th, 2018, 8:35 p.m. "It's time for bed, Sam," I said loudly as I walked down the hallway. As I start making my way down the hall to retrieve Sam, who is loudly trotting around his playroom, I notice that he is whispering lightly. At first it sounded as if he was talking to himself, but it seemed as if he was holding a conversation. The first thought came to my mind was that my sister was in the room with him. As I reached the outside of the room, I stopped for a brief moment and listened. I did not hear my sister's voice, but Sam, who whispered, "I can't play anymore tonight." He continued, "I know you don't like it when I leave, but I have to go to bed." Walking into the room, I watched as Sam's head quickly turned facing me. He seemed shocked that I was listening to his conversation. I looked around the room and looked back at him. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. "You made him run away." "Who did I make run away?" "Mr. Green Eyes," Sam shouted as he pointed at the window. The feeling of someone or something, whether imaginary or not, made me feel tense after what happened to Bosco. Something in my head told me to go outside and look around, even if it was to prove to myself that Sam's friend was imaginary. "Why don't you head to bed, Sam? Your mom is waiting upstairs to tuck you in," I said. Sam gave a little bit of a frown, but relented and headed towards his bedroom. Heading outside and walking towards the window of Sam's playroom, nothing looked strange as I approached it. A sigh of relief came over me as I realized no one was outside, and Sam's friend was imaginary. That is when I looked down and saw something strange on the ground. The light showed it plainly the closer I got to the light. A set of footprints with the toes pointed towards the window, as if someone was standing there and watching. The tension in my body started to rise as my legs began to feel stiff. Reaching for my phone and dialing the non-emergency number, I requested for a police officer to come as quickly as possible. Someone or something had been outside speaking to my nephew. Kneeling down and looking at footprints, they looked big and deep, so whoever had been looking inside appeared to be large and heavy. After hanging up the phone and thinking of how to explain to my sister that the police are arriving without making her panic, I lift my head up to see that the light to Sam's room is still on strangely. Making my way to the back door of the house, I feel frozen in terror. I don't remember leaving the back door open. Left stunned and with a sinking feeling by the sight of the door being open, dashing for the door and entering the house, I call out to my sister and nephew, but hear no response. The sound was too quiet, like no one was even in the house. Reaching the stair and looking up to see the light to Sam's room is still on. Something is not right. I quickly run to the stairs and scream, "Sam, where are you? Somebody please answer me," I scream again. Entering Sam's bedroom and seeing an empty bed, I look down to see my sister's lifeless body on the floor, lying flat on her stomach. I rush over to her and check for a pulse, but I feel nothing. She has bruises along her neck as if something had come behind her and attacked. Sobbing uncontrollably at the sight of my sister, who looks to have had her neck broken. "Sam, please tell me where you are," I yell. Sam is still not responding to my screams, and that worried me. Standing back up, I run back to the stairs, running down the hallway, checking every room. Every one of them empty. When arriving to the playroom, something is in the corner of my eye. What looks to be a man with a sickly pale white skin tone is looking directly at me. He is abnormally tall, almost reaching the top of the window. His face has a grin with jagged, crooked teeth that are stained brown. The terrifying gaze he gave me from his gruesome eyes that were a dark green with black pupils. He pursed his lips for a moment and lifted his finger. I stand frozen as his smile widens and he walks away slowly. As the man walked away from the window, I catch a glimpse of Sam following him innocently with a smile on his face. Running toward the still open back door and outside, they appear nowhere in sight. The wind howls, and with a slight creaking sound. When I looked to see, the back of the gate to the front yard was now open. Rushing to the front yard and looking about, but nothing. Not either one. I run to the street desperately looking at both sides of the road, hoping and praying to catch the faintest view of my nephew. As I see the lights of a police car approaching my house, I look hopelessly on it as it is too late, as it seems that both my nephew and whatever evil thing led him away has disappeared into thin air. So, I think Mr. Green Eyes was not imaginary. I think he might have been a real creepy-ass dude who just kidnapped her nephew and killed her cat. Sorry, I kicked the table. But, yeah, that was actually very unsettling. I don't like that ending. I was hoping for a better ending. Like a more positive outcome, if you will. I think this is a great story, though. I like how it kind of builds up, and I mean, I feel like there could have been a little bit more detail as to why, but other than that, I think this was a pretty great story. I mean, I really enjoyed reading it, and I really enjoyed reading it for you guys. So, let's see, yeah, this video is already almost 19 minutes long, so I am going to stop filming here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this video, and if you guys have any other Reddit no sleep stories that you would like for me to read, let me know, and I'll go and search for them, or you could direct message it to me on one of my social media accounts, and I'll have those linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you guys a lot. Again, sorry for the horrible quality with the light. I tried really hard to get this done before the sun went down, but as you can see, it's very dark out here. So with that being said, I am going to end the video here. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that little notification bell after you do so you know when I upload. Thanks again for watching, guys, and stay spooky. Bye.